Hello everyone. I am going to walk through my infusion process. Hey, that's me, Christian Harris, born and raised in Maryland. I have severe hemophilia B, so this is my dose. Naturally, I start by unpacking all of it. My doses come grouped together in a little plastic bag. I save the bags and use them for other things around the house. But they all have a copy of the prescription on the bag, which I love because then I can just take those off when I'm traveling and put that with my factor. Definitely helpful getting through TSA sometimes to have the prescription right there. So as I unbox, I always like to sort everything out. And this sort of helps me in the cleanup process too, because I like to sort things that'll go in the trash versus things that will go in the recycling, like all the paper products. Now, of course, factor is dosed by weight, and I'm a big guy, so I take a lot of factor. My prescription is for 2 times a week. And as long as I stick to my prescription, I think a lot of us in the community know what it's like sometimes when you end up skipping doses because you're not being a very good hemophiliac. But when I stick to my prescription, I have very little problem with bleeds. So here I've gotten everything unboxed and I got my alcohol wipes ready to go, take the caps off of my factor, and I'm going to swab each of the top of my vials with an alcohol wipe. Awesome. Now figuring out next steps. Sometimes I go, wait, what goes next? It's the filters. So here I'm opening up one of my filters. The vials all have vacuums on them, so I just plug in the glass syringe that comes with this sterile water for injection and pop that onto the top of the vial, and it sucks the water down. So I'm going to repeat that for the rest of the vials. And there we go. So now I'm just cleaning up as I go here, getting all of my caps from my vials and from the syringes, putting all of them in one place. And that way I'm also keeping a pretty clean workspace. Of course, before I got started, I washed my hands right when I was grabbing my tourniquet and my sharps container there. And also make sure you have a clean workspace for your infusions. All right, so once I have all of the sterile water inside of the vial, sometimes it takes a little while for the factor to break down, so I just help it along, and I'm checking the bottom of the vial because I can see through it there to make sure the factor inside has broken down. It's also good to tip the vials up and down a few times gently to make sure that any factor that is up around the stopper is also getting constituted into the sterile water. Want to make sure we're getting all of the factor out of those vials. All right, once everything is constituted well enough, I'm going to take my glass syringes off. Of course, I could use these syringes to actually do the infusion, but I like to have all of the factor in one syringe, so I'm going to grab my 20 cc syringe there, and I'm going to draw all of the factor into this one syringe. Or actually, I think it's a 30 cc syringe. I forget. My SPC keeps me well supplied with exactly what I like, so I just say, I need syringes, and I get them. There you go. we go. Now, time to get ready for my butterfly needle and to actually do my stick. So, of course, I'm going to take my other alcohol wipe and clean off the vein. Oops, forgot to put my tourniquet on first. So these tourniquets are gold in the hemophilia community, the best ones ever made. Many people love them. And if you happen to find one just like it, make sure you treasure it. All right, just gonna continue wiping that vein off there until I am satisfied it's clean. And there goes my butterfly. I like to use a 23 gauge that's kind of big, but I've been sticking myself for a long time, so it doesn't really bother me, but I do have some 25s on hand, and when I was younger I used to go as far down as like the 27s. So I am right-handed, but I also have better veins in my right hand and arm, so I infuse with my left hand. It was tricky to get accustomed to at first, but once you do, now I can do it without really thinking about it. So here I am just waiting for the blood return to come back to the syringe. This is also something that different bleeders in the community have a different way of doing it. Some don't allow the blood return to come back that far. I also, when I'm infusing, I don't use saline to push the last bit through the butterfly. So yeah, these are all things that different people do in different ways. All right, now we are into business. So definitely make sure you are pushing your factor based on the recommendations by how fast or slow you should push your factor. That's nothing I've ever had issues with, but I also do take my time. Usually when I'm doing this, I am watching TV or listening to something, but my phone is kind of occupied right now because that's what I'm recording on. I have been able to infuse myself since I was in elementary school, and I really took over doing it for myself consistently when I was about 14 or 15. And I just really enjoy the freedom that comes with trusting myself to be able to administer my own factor when I need to, especially in situations like traveling. I love traveling and have traveled quite a lot. So being able to do this and to carry my factor with me to make sure I have what I need, and being able to successfully infuse myself every time is such a big important part of my life and has allowed me to do so much. So hemophilia, it can be a challenge and it can be difficult at times, but it's really just an added responsibility, and if we step up and meet those challenges and own that responsibility, it makes rock stars out of all of us. Some of the best people I've ever met in my life are people within the hemophilia community. So, love you guys. And there's my gauze. So I am done pushing the factor now. And I gently pull out my butterfly, and I'm going to apply pressure with that gauze pad to my vein for a little while. So you can see we're all empty there. The longer you do it, the more you work out maneuvers and tricks for how to move your fingers and hands around to work with one hand when you're pulling the butterfly out and trying to hold the gauze there at the same time. All right, after I've held that on there for a while, it's time for a Band-Aid. And just like that, my infusion is done and we are all set and good to go. Of course, now I have a few other little things to do, like logging and the cleanup. So I'm going to go ahead and pop my butterfly into my sharps container and go ahead and get the rest of the things cleaned up here. I use an app to record my dose logs, but I am recording with my phone right now, so I'm just going to write the information from the labels down, and then I will put that into my phone when I'm done recording. All right, thank you so much for tuning in. That's all, folks.